Have you ever noticed how many things you postpone in life, not because you are not capable, but because you do not feel confident enough? You think about speaking English. You think about a new project. You think about changing something important. And then a voice says, "Wait, I am not ready yet. When I feel more confident, then I will start." And so, you wait. Before we dive in, if you like content that helps you grow in your English and also in your mindset, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. It is a small gesture, but it supports this project and helps this type of message reach more people who need it. Today's topic is the confidence gap, that uncomfortable space between what you could do and what you actually do, because you are waiting to feel different before you move. We are going to explore why you feel less confident than you should, how this affects your English and other areas, and what to do when you do not feel ready but do not want to stay stuck. Let us start with something simple but powerful. Confidence is not a starting point. Confidence is a result. Most people treat confidence like this. First, I feel confident. Then I act. But in real life, it usually works like this. First I act, feeling insecure. Then, with repetition, I become more confident. Think about anything you can do today without drama. Driving, using your phone, cooking something basic, even speaking your native language. The first times you did these things, you were not confident. You were clumsy. You were afraid. You were unsure. But you did them anyway. And over time, your brain built proof. I have done this many times. I can probably do it again. That proof became confidence. So here is the first problem in the confidence gap. You are waiting for a feeling that only appears after the actions you are avoiding. You are waiting for a result before starting the process. No wonder you feel stuck. Now there is another piece here. You do not have only one kind of confidence. You have self-confidence. And you have self-trust. Self-confidence is about how you feel before an action. Self-trust is about what you know about yourself from your past. I trust that even if I am nervous, I will try. I trust that even if I make mistakes, I will survive. Many people want to feel self-confident, but they have almost no self-trust. They break promises to themselves all the time. They say, "I will study. I will start. I will change." But when the moment comes, they run away. And their brain records another evidence. We do not do what we say. So when it is time to take a risk, like speaking English with someone, even if they know the words, they think, "I cannot trust myself. I will probably freeze. I will probably escape." This lack of self-trust makes the confidence gap even bigger, because it is not just "I am not good enough." It becomes, "I cannot rely on myself." Let us bring this directly to your English. Think about what you already know. You probably understand more than before. You know a lot of vocabulary. You know grammar structures. On paper, you might be intermediate or even advanced. But when you are in a real situation, you feel small. Your mind says, "I cannot. I will make a fool of myself. People will judge me." There is a gap between your knowledge and your behavior, between what you could say and what you actually say. That is the confidence gap. You do not need more information to begin using English. You need a different relationship with your fear, with your mistakes, and with yourself. Now, why is this gap so strong? One reason is comparison. We live surrounded by examples of people who seem very confident. On social media, in videos, at work, even in your English class. Other people speak and you think, look at them, so natural, so relaxed, so fluent. I am nothing like that. What you do not see is their internal experience. Maybe they are nervous. Maybe their heart is beating fast. Maybe they practiced a lot before that moment. But you only see the outside. So you compare your inside, full of fear and doubt, with their outside, polished and controlled. And of course, you feel inferior. This comparison feeds a story in your mind. I am behind. I am wrong. I am not like them. And when you believe that story, you act less. You avoid more. You give fewer chances for your confidence to grow. Another reason for the confidence gap is a misunderstanding about fear. Many people think confidence means no fear. They imagine a confident person as someone who feels calm, sure, relaxed, all the time. So when they feel fear, they think, I am not confident, I am not ready. I should wait until this fear goes away. But fear is not a sign of lack of confidence. Fear is a sign of importance. You feel fear when something matters. If you did not care about your future, about connection, about your dreams, you would not feel so nervous about speaking English. Your fear does not mean you are weak. It means you are invested. Confidence is not the absence of fear. Confidence is the ability to act with fear. Sometimes with a shaking voice, sometimes with a racing heart, but still moving. Let us also talk about another illusion. Many people believe they must feel like a different person before they are allowed to act differently. They think, when I feel more intelligent, more worthy, more interesting, then I will speak more, study more, take more risks. But often the opposite is true. You start to feel like a different person only after you behave like a different person. You speak more. You study more consistently. You try, even when afraid. And then slowly, your mind updates its image of who you are. Oh, maybe I am the kind of person who tries. Maybe I am the kind of person who speaks up. Behavior shapes identity, not the other way around. The confidence gap is basically the distance between the identity you have today and the identity you could build if you act, even with fear. Now, how do you cross this gap? How do you stop waiting to feel ready and start living more of what you are already capable of? There are many tools, but let us focus on some powerful ideas. The first idea: borrow confidence from the future. Right now, there is a version of you who speaks English more freely, who has more options, who feels less trapped by fear. That version of you does not exist only in fantasy. They are a potential. They're created by the actions you take now. Instead of asking, do I feel confident enough today? You can ask, what would that future version of me do in this situation? The one who already has the confidence I want. Would they stay silent the whole meeting? Would they avoid speaking English with a friend? Would they escape every difficult situation? Probably not. They would try. They would speak, even imperfectly. They would ask questions. They would practice. So, you are not acting like the current you feels. You are acting like the future you would act. You borrow their posture before you have their confidence. And the magic is that, by doing this, you become more like them. Second idea: focus on self-trust, not on feeling safe. Instead of asking, do I feel safe enough to do this? you can build a different question. Can I trust myself to handle what happens even if it is uncomfortable? For example, in English, maybe you do not feel safe to join a conversation. You think, what if I do not understand? What if I forget words? What if I feel stupid? Self-trust sounds like this. Yes, these things may happen. I might not understand everything. I might forget words. I might feel stupid. But I trust that I will not die of embarrassment. I trust that I can laugh, apologize, or ask them to repeat. I trust that I can survive the discomfort. When you build self-trust, the fear does not vanish, but it loses its power to paralyze you. Because you know, whatever happens, I will deal with it. Third idea, shrink the risk, not your dream. Often you imagine a huge scenario, speaking English in front of a big group, traveling alone to another country, giving a presentation at work. Of course your brain panics. That is a big jump from where you are. But you do not need to delete your dream. You just need to shrink the next step. Instead of thinking, I need to speak perfectly in a meeting, you think, today I will say one sentence in English, just one. Instead of thinking, I need to have a deep conversation with a native speaker, you think, I will send one audio message to someone even if it is short and awkward. You keep the big vision, but you make the immediate action small. Small enough that your fear says, okay, this is uncomfortable, but possible. The confidence gap starts to close not with huge heroic actions, but with small, repeated, courageous actions. Fourth idea, redefine what success means. For most people, success is, I spoke perfectly. I made no mistakes. I looked confident. If this is your definition, you will feel like a failure most of the time, because real life is messy. A more useful definition of success is, did I act, even with fear? Did I practice, even imperfectly? Did I move, even a little, toward what I want? With this definition, you can leave a conversation where you made mistakes, where you felt nervous, and still say, success, I showed up, I did not run away. Next time, I will be a little better. This kind of inner feedback feeds your confidence instead of destroying it. Fifth idea, stop worshiping other people's confidence. That person you admire, who speaks English so smoothly or who seems so free, they also have insecurities. You are seeing them in a moment of action, not in a moment of doubt. Your journey will not look exactly like theirs. That is okay. Instead of thinking, I will never be like them, you can think, they are proof that a human being can learn this. If they can, I can also, in my own way, in my own time. Other people's confidence is not a measure of your smallness. It is a preview of what is possible for you. Sixth idea, practice confidence in tiny, daily ways. Confidence is not only for big moments. You can train it in small situations. Answering a message instead of avoiding. Asking a question in class. Saying, I did not understand. Can you repeat? In English, instead of pretending. Each time you act even 1% more courageously than usual, you are training your confidence muscle. Over months, this tiny training changes how you see yourself. You start to think, I am the kind of person who tries. I am the kind of person who speaks even when unsure. That identity makes the gap smaller. Now let us do something very practical for your English. Imagine a line. On one side, there is you, today. On the other side, there is you, speaking English with much more freedom. The gap between those two is not only grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. A big part is confidence. So, what can you do this week to walk a few steps on that line? Here are some possibilities. You can choose one situation where you usually stay silent and decide, this time, I will say just one thing in English. You can record your voice for 5 minutes every day, talking about your day, your thoughts, even if nobody will listen. You can join a conversation and simply say, sorry, could you repeat? Instead of smiling and pretending you understood. None of these actions will make you fluent in 1 week, but they will do something maybe more important right now. They will teach your brain, I can act without feeling ready. And with each repetition, you will feel a little more capable. Before we close, there is one more thing you need to hear. You may be waiting for a day when you will wake up and suddenly feel no fear, no doubt, total confidence. That day may never come the way you imagine. What comes, instead, is a quieter, more mature confidence. The kind that says, I am nervous, I am not perfect, I might make mistakes, but I am going anyway. This is real courage. Not feeling invincible, but choosing your future over your fear again and again. When this audio ends, ask yourself, in what specific situation is my confidence gap the biggest right now, especially with English? Maybe it is speaking in meetings. Maybe it is starting a conversation. Maybe it is simply opening your mouth and hearing your own voice in English. Then decide one small, clear action you will take this week in that exact place. Not next year. Not when you feel ready. This week. Write it down. You do not need to transform your entire life in one move. You just need to stop waiting for a feeling that was never designed to come first. Confidence comes later. Your job now is much simpler, but also more demanding. To show up, to act, to try, even with shaking hands, even with a shaking voice. Between who you are and who you could become, there is a gap. And you, step by step, are the bridge. Thank you for watching.